Welcome back to Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Charles Aniegolu. Now let's look back at the week that was, a week that exposed Nigeria's political, security and diplomatic fault lines. And in a political move with 2027 written all over it, Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf has resigned from the NNPP, shaking the foundations of a party that swept one of Nigeria's most vote-rich states. So where does this put Kano in the fast-forming battle for power ahead of the next general election? And who stands to gain from this sudden realignment? Excuse me. In Rivers State, an impeachment push against the governor has stalled, caught between the courts, the legislature, and raw political muscle. In Kaduna State, fresh abductions in Kajuru local government area have once again raised urgent questions about insecurity and the government's ability to protect its citizens. And talking about security, National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu met with a U.S. delegation pressing Nigeria to do more to protect Christian communities, an intervention that has stirred both concern and controversy. Abroad, Nigeria is reshaping its diplomatic posture with new ambassadorial postings to the US, the UK and France, even as global politics takes a sharper turn with Donald Trump's return to the Davos spotlight and a growing transatlantic unease. So what connects these moments? Where is Nigeria asserting control and where is it still struggling to keep pace? Well, joining me now to dissect these developments and to break down the week that was are two top-notch commentators who have become proficient at scouring those headlines and unearthing everything that's above and under the radar. And they are the Arise News analyst and former chairman of the editorial board of Daily Trust newspaper, Mahmood Jega, and the public affairs analyst, Mazi Nnamdi Dickson Iroegbu, who is both a member of the opposition PDP and an Obidient. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
Let me come to you, Mahmood. Your reaction to Governor Abba Yusuf's resignation from the NNPP, is this, in your assessment, a personal political calculation or a signal that smaller parties are essentially buckling under pressure from 2027?
Well, this event in Kano has been long in coming. For several weeks it was being speculated that the governor was moving out, and initially it was not certain, but the statements that were made at several meetings by the party leader, Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, suggested that there was something like that, because he was talking about betrayal and things like that. And then just in the last 2 days, it looked like Kwankwaso himself had not exactly decided what he wanted to do, and there was speculation that the governor was going to take him to meet the president and that they will move together. And all this was speculations. But today, finally, the governor has resigned from NNPP, and it is all but certain that he is going to APC, because it has been speculated for long. Well, as far as I can see, it's a very big gamble on his part, especially going without the leader, which is Kwankwaso.
What do you think will happen with Kwankwaso himself? There's been speculation he might go to the ADC.
Yeah, but he set a very high demand, which is, I think he said at one of the meetings that any party that he goes to must give him either the presidential or the vice presidential ticket. And he must be addressing ADC, because he could not possibly tell APC to give him the presidential ticket. Now, even ADC, which is full of very big politicians, I don't think they can guarantee him that, because he will say that he got more than 1 million votes in Kano in the last election. But no, he got more than 1 million, I think 1.4 million votes, but 90% of it was in just one state. Now, that does not convey strength in presidential election calculations. So it is the governor also who has taken a very big risk, because the first hurdle is whether he will now get renominated by
Well, he's going to get the ticket.
Because APC in Kano also has many big candidates who want to contest for governor.
Well, clearly, Mazi Dickson Iroegbu, he hasn't announced his political destination, but we know where he's headed, don't we? And what does this mean for Kano's enormous voting power? Does it weaken the NNPP beyond recovery now?
The movement of the governor, as far as I'm concerned, this is the only thing the government of Tinubu has done very well. That's the only thing, bringing the elites, to his camp and all that. So securing Kano is a big win for him, but did the people move with the governor? That we'll find out, because the governor, did he become governor on his own popularity and all of that? No.
Although he says he's taking all the members of the state assembly and all
I
the
hope
rest
he
of it.
takes along the people of Kano. Kano is the state of...
Well, that's crucial, isn't it?
Yes, very important. And Kano voters are very informed. They can make their decision. And I won't believe that the governor is on his own at the moment,
So
until we find out otherwise.
Will it be a choice between those who follow the governor and those who follow the leader of the party, depending on which direction he goes?
If Kwankwaso, from the experience he has gotten now, because if the proposal that was given to him in 2023 was accepted, for him to form alliance with Peter Obi and all of that, if he has realized that he can form that alliance, then the two of them can make a major statement in 2027. A Peter Obi presidency with Kwankwaso as vice would really make the villa, loosely.
Well, we'll have to watch and see. Let's turn to Rivers State, Mahmood. The tussle for power there and the rule of law. The impeachment push has stalled. Is this the rule of law working, or political actors, specifically Nyesom Wike, miscalculating his leverage in Rivers State?
You see, Oga Charles, when I think back, as far back as the Second Republic, in all impeachment matters of governors and deputy governors, it requires a certain level of partisanship on the part of the chief judges of states for it to be successful. Why did I say that? The courts themselves, in 1981, when we had the first case of the Kaduna State Assembly trying to impeach the governor Balarabe Musa, the High Court, the Appeal Court, and the Supreme Court all said that the courts cannot stop the Assembly from impeachment process, because it's like stopping it from passing any other law, because they are constitutionally empowered to do that. But this time, as we can see, the courts in Rivers in particular have stopped the process. That's just one point. Now, when we discussed this matter right here on your program some months ago, I did point out that, okay, the Wike camp has the overwhelming majority of members of the Rivers Assembly enough to impeach the governor. But they have one obstacle, which is the chief judge of Rivers State, because it is the chief judge who will appoint the panel. And in all the experiences that we have had of impeachment of governors and deputy governors, the chief judges usually collaborate to set up a panel that will return a guilty verdict. But in Nasarawa State in 2014, the PDP majority in the assembly initiated the impeachment of the APC governor, Umaru Tanko Al-Makura. But the chief judge set up a panel which returned a not guilty verdict. And the Constitution says if the panel brings a not guilty verdict, that is the end of the process. And I suspect that in Rivers State we are heading in the same direction. And the pro-Wike members of the assembly were aware of it, because some months ago they tried to remove this chief judge, Samuel Amadi. They tried to remove him. They said that he falsified his age or something like that. And I could see immediately it was because they probably failed to get his cooperation to set up a kind of panel that will automatically return a guilty verdict against the governor. But now we haven't even gotten to that stage. He got one of his colleagues in the same high court to issue an order, and he said, I must respect this order. And then the assembly members said they are appealing, and this kind of thing can take a very long time. But in the end, even if the Wike camp wins, it is still the same chief judge who will set up the panel to probe the allegations. And we'll see how it goes.
Indeed. And Mazi Dickson, without impugning the integrity of the judiciary, do you see the hand of Abuja in all of this? I mean, and beyond that, does this strengthen Governor Fubara now by effectively exposing the overreach from the other side, or does it weaken him by keeping Rivers State almost permanently on edge now?
The movement to APC, this is the result. So it was Adams Oshomole, former chairman of APC, who said once you join APC, all your sins will be forgiven. So the protection he's getting is just simply because of that move. I have stated on this show before that Nyesom Wike has been thrown under the bus. He's just probably going to realize it a bit more maybe later. The truth is that Fubara is now with the president and will be protected by the president, and that's what has played out. So, but unfortunately, it's the Rivers people that are suffering. Governance is suffering in Rivers State. That's just, I wish all of these political games they are playing was favoring the people. They moved to APC, Fubara is just saving himself. How well has he performed thus far? Rivers people can attest to it, that governance has suffered terribly under his watch. So it's all politics and then distraction from the purpose of his emergence as governor. Let him continue to enjoy the protection for now, but Nyesom Wike should begin to realign. The earlier he does that for himself, the better, because the damage he did to his party, when you burn down your father's house, when you go outside, you become homeless. So he cannot in any way at the moment be secured anywhere, because he attempted to burn down the house that built him, that gave him leverage to even become minister. So
and that's the PDP.
Yes, the PDP, of course, my party. So let him enjoy it. But Fubara, his days can also be said to be numbered, because APC has put it on notice that there is no automatic ticket to anybody who is coming into their camp. So some of them who moved in along the way, by the time PDP secures its position again, most likely they will have to start coming back in droves back home.
Well, that'll be something that'll be very interesting to watch, won't it, as we get closer to 2027.
Yeah.
But talking about securing things, Mahmood, let's turn to insecurity. Fresh abductions in Kajuru in Kaduna State suggest a familiar pattern. Is Nigeria failing at prevention or simply reacting after communities are already traumatized?
Honestly, what happened in Kaduna State is very, very distressing. It's not the only one. Not so long ago, we had an even larger, 177 people were carted away in Kaduna, but an even larger number in Niger State, I said 220 or so. And also there was the event in Kwara also where some. So it looks like the security leadership has to completely re-strategize.
But of course, this one is getting, sorry to interrupt you, a lot of international attention because they are specifically taken from Christian churches.
Yes.
Exactly. Just like the Kwara one, and also even the Niger one was a Christian school. And I don't know whether somebody is trying deliberately to feed into the American narrative. Exactly, because I think there is an American team that just came and was saying you must do more to protect Christian communities, and to have 177 people, women, children, elders, everybody carted away. Look at the logistics of cutting away 177 people, how you move them, where
Absolutely.
you take them, how you hide them, how you feed them, all things that are, and also initially the security agencies in Kaduna even denied that there was such an abduction, only to come back a day or two later. So something is seriously amiss.
Yeah.
And
Somebody said something is seriously rotten in the house of Nigerian security. And I mean, Mazi Dickson, after so many years of so-called enhanced operations, we're still asking the same questions. And you wonder at what point does persistent insecurity stop being a security failure and become a governance failure?
Until we take governance seriously. From day one, the president came on board and started playing politics. And so that distracted him away from governance. And so what we're seeing today is just the failure of leadership. And the president is still playing the politics. The government of the day has not realized that the first thing that will give you even victory, you know, you have an opportunity now to become president, okay, perform so that the people can say, where have you been all this while? But rather than do that, he's still playing politics of grab it and grab it and grab it. So the people are left on their own, you know, and it's not just about Christians, it's Nigerians. I admit that Christian persecution is going on in Nigeria, but Nigerians, whether Muslim, Christian, or pagans, are all being slaughtered in our country. So, and the logistics involved, that's what baffles me. The logistics involved in moving this number of people, and then the security. Well, the police, like my colleague here said, even the first 2 days said, no, there's nothing like that. So it shows you clearly the absence of governance, you know, in different parts of our country. And it's unfortunate, really. Very sad.
Indeed.
Very, very sad.
And Mahmoud Jega, you mentioned the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu being visited by a U.S. delegation. And, you know, I'm wondering whether that's a diplomatic warning shot along the lines of what we heard before, and whether you think that external pressure can help fix Nigeria's security problem, or whether it just exposes how thin state authority has become in this country.
Everybody knows in this country that our number one problem is insecurity, all this insurgency and kidnappings. I don't think the American intervention in particular is helpful because they are pushing the wrong narrative. The government has tried very hard to say, look, we have this serious insecurity problem, but all parts of the country and people of all faiths suffer from it and are being killed. You cannot just choose one part. Okay, terrible things happen in Benue and in Plateau, but equally terrible, sometimes even worse things happened in Borno, in Yobe, in Zamfara, in Kaduna, in Niger, and more lately in Kwara. So you are not really helping. I'm talking about the Americans, if you emphasize. And there is no way I see practically that the government can protect Christian communities if it does not protect others.
Indeed.
Exactly. You have to protect all, all citizens.
Right.
Like the kidnappers, they don't care about your religion. They just waylay you on the highway and drag you into the bush. So we need security. And if anybody wants to help internationally, this is the kind of help. Give the correct narrative and then assist us in tackling this problem. But if you keep pushing for your own domestic political reasons, because that's really what Trump and his colleagues are doing, for their own domestic political reasons, they are pushing a false narrative in Nigeria, which complicates matters for the Nigerian
But in
government.
fairness,
it's not particularly false, really. The Christian persecution in Nigeria or whatever, it's not particularly
Yeah, but
false
I think the
narrative.
point is making that it's not just the Christians who are being
Yes,
persecuted.
I agree.
And I think that the point also is that even though the Americans are saying that, okay, I mean, it's clear they're doing it for their domestic audience, the political side of things, but they're also, not actually going after the Nigerian government as such, with regard to the Christian thing. But let's move on, because diplomacy and ambassadorial postings, new ambassadors to the US, UK, and France. Is that a strategic reset in your assessment, or optics that doesn't have any substance, really?
Charles, the Tinubu government has been in power for about 32 months, about 11,680 days. And we just have 3 ambassadorial confirmation and all of that. It doesn't show seriousness. I'm ashamed to be called a Nigerian at this time, sincerely, because no country will take us seriously. So how many days left? Because he thinks he's going to hold on to the power up to 2027? Well, he'll be shocked. It's unfortunate. Yeah, he has appointed people, and out of 60, we still have about 68 left, and all that. I think out of 68, he has just confirmed 3. It just doesn't show that we are part of, what is happening around the globe, and that Nigeria wants to bring in real, attention to the plights and indeed also the possibilities or potentials in our country. This president doesn't seem to understand governance. He was overrated. Tinubu, clearly, is an overrated president.
Mahmood, we're fast running out of time. What exactly is Nigeria trying to change abroad with these appointments if the core problems remain unresolved at home?
Exactly. I mean, diplomas, it's a limit to what diplomats can do. I mean, if you go to US or somewhere explaining things, if it does not tally with the reality on the ground, because these countries also have their embassies inside Nigeria, very large ones, and they have newspaper people, they have business people, and they get a lot of information from all kinds of sources. So just putting an ambassador in London or in France will not solve your problem. And look at the messy way in which it was done. Yesterday, we said you have appointed 4 ambassadors to these 3 countries and another one to Turkey. And that one that they said they appointed to Turkey, they said he's a former governor of Kebbi State. And they gave one jumbled up name. People in Kebbi quickly rushed and said, that is not the name of our former governor that you said you appointed. And in any case, he was not in the list of the 68 ambassadors that were taken to the Senate for screening. So how can you post him when he was not screened by the Senate? And all the others that were screened, you didn't post them. And then they announced today that they have withdrawn that posting to Turkey.
A bit of a mess, really, isn't it?
Big mess.
Well, we've literally got 20 seconds. Donald Trump is back on the Davos stage, global stage. We've seen, shifts in Western foreign policy. I wonder how vulnerable you see Nigeria in that sort of context. World that is becoming more transactional, less forgiving, especially on security and governance issues.
I thought our president would have, grabbed the opportunity, affirming
to actually
that,
go and meet him.
go and meet Mr. Trump one-on-one. When is he going to meet him so that we at least can know that our president is doing something? He missed another opportunity, or is he afraid of meeting Donald J. Trump? When is the president possibly going to go to America to meet with his colleague to discuss the interests of Nigeria? But for Trump, for me, I'm a fan of Donald J. Trump, and he went out there, reeled out what he has achieved in the last 1 year of his administration, and he came big, and then also announced the board of peace that he's on the issue of Gaza and all of that. So for me, he just continues, putting America first, and that is what every leader ought to do.
Right.
But unfortunately, our president is not available to put the Nigerian people and Nigeria first.
On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed, the public affairs analyst, Mazi Nnamdi Dickson Iroegbu, who is both a member of the PDP and an Obidient, and of course, Arise News analyst and former chairman of the editorial board of Daily Trust newspaper, Mahmood Jega. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again next week. From me and the entire team here in Abuja and Lagos, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.